What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Couple Things.
With Shawn and Andrew.
A podcast all about couples.
And the things they go through.
Today we have two friends of ours who are so excited to interview because their story is amazing. Will and Charo.
That's right. Will Compton, you may know from Bussin' with the Boys, a podcast and show that is all about sports and it's really fun. You should listen to it.
Yes. They are recently married. So we talk through their dating experience, their engagement, and their wedding. So in the interview, you will notice that Charo is very pregnant with their first little girl and first baby. And congratulations to Will and Charo, who have had their baby girl and had an amazing story. Congratulations to your addition in life, such as this, which is get ready for it.
It'll be fun to see how their life has changed since recording this interview. If you want to find out more about Will and Charo and what they're up to, we'll link their information down below. And before we get into it, please subscribe to the show and give it a rating on whatever platform you're listening on. Without further ado, we bring you Will and Charo Compton.
A lot's happened since we last talked. You got married.
Yes.
No. You got engaged because you were telling us off the show that you were getting ready to buy a ring.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dang, I forgot about that.
Well, here it is.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah,
That
so
is
we got
wild.
engaged, we got married, we got pregnant right away, and now we are 35 weeks along. When I say we, my wife is 35 weeks along.
It was we before.
It was
turned
we, and
into I.
everyone's kind of advised
Yeah.
me that kind of shifts over
We
time.
we always said we, but then
Yeah.
it's
No,
the-
I say we too.
it's also the hard times where I'm like, absolutely not. It's I. It's solo, singular.
Well, I think, we have our own story. We don't,
Yeah.
we just choose to suppress it.
Will's very much about Dad Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And then I just, I just kind of sit over here and smile.
No, here's the thing, dude. And you're just on the front end of this as you're entering into parenthood. As dads, it's our role. By the way, you got the dad shoes
I
on,
do,
bro.
man. I got them on.
Shoes.
My dad actually has those shoes.
They're
Like
comfortable,
unironically.
man.
Yeah, you can buy them at Costco.
Unironically.
The
Yeah.
Monarchs, the Air Monarchs. But
You can buy Nikes at Costco?
I think so. I think so.
I feel like
I think you can buy those.
it's our role as dads to the wives are the more let me make an analogy. We're the kite holders and they're the kites emotionally. They kind of, you know what I'm saying? And we're just
Yeah, the wind
steady.
blows and they kind of go with the wind.
Yeah. And we just got to eat it, bro.
Yeah.
We got to, they're going through all this pregnancy stuff and
I feel like you're digging us a hole, but I'm with you. We're kind of in control. They're kind of just going with the flow.
they're having
We
more
gotta reel
fun.
it in.
Yeah, no.
We're growing an actual human being, and you guys are just sitting on the couch eating
We're
Doritos.
blowing in the
no, that's
wind.
what you're
Yeah.
I don't think that is it.
I'll work on the analogy.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually feel like it would be completely the opposite.
Okay.
I loved it, but I knew as you were saying it, I'm like, I know they aren't gonna.
I feel like if anything, we are the anchors,
Yeah.
and you all are just all over the place.
So let me ask you this, because I'm excited for you guys to look back on this years from now, this interview, and pre-kids. I'm curious, what are your expectations? How do you think your life is going to change after you have a kid?
You go first,
Well,
man.
you said the magic word of expectations, and apparently, we've worked out in therapy, that I just have really high expectations of myself and of people in my life. So my actual job is to release expectations right now.
High expectations is the worst.
Yeah, because
So
we'll be
stressful.
in therapy.
Yeah.
Charles always needs the solution. Okay, so what do we do? And the therapist is like, you don't always need to have the answer.
Yes, you
can
do.
just sit with it. Yeah.
Yes,
And Charles like, so okay, but then how do we? And she's like, you're doing it right now.
Yeah. But if I would actually answer that question, yeah, I mean, it's we can't be selfish anymore. I think that's kind of the maybe overarching theme. Will and I are both selfish in certain ways, and we're also selfish with our relationship in certain ways. But when there's a baby, when there's a child that cannot care for itself, this new roommate that all of a sudden shows up in our home, and we have to take care of it, even though we don't know her. But we do know her. I don't know.
Wild.
It's just such a crazy concept, right? But we have to now think about her, and we have to put her needs first sometimes. I don't know if I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I have no clue, man. I just know how I am, with my time and bussing and we get to do what we want to do. And I know my time management, my organization, and like my structure of my days are gonna kind of be gone. I feel like
You guys are
I
laughing
know.
at us.
Organization. I'm just.
Well, it's like it's so fun to listen to because we were there, obviously. And our biggest fear in life was like, oh, we're not going to have that structure. I'm not going to get to work out. We're not going to get to travel the world. And like, I totally get it. And I love watching it because I'm so excited for you guys. But it somehow changes because we now find ourselves like choosing not to travel because we want to stay home with our kids, like actively. And it's really cool. I'm really excited
yeah,
for you
I'm
guys.
stoked. But it's like last night. I know we were both tired. We had long days. We had to do like a baby birthing center thing, and Charo was like side-eyeing me a couple times because I was like on my phone finishing like. So I had just gotten back from the bus, and I finished so she's kind of side-eyeing me, and I'm like, okay, I got to be present for this meeting that learning about how to go to the hospital and everything like that.
Yeah, dude.
And we get done, and we start to watch Netflix, and I like pass out right away, and I was so tired. And then when I got up, I got to take Waffle out, our little cute English bulldog puppy, and I'm like, gosh, why do I got to take her out? And Charles like doing her thing, I'm doing my thing to get ready for bed. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna have to do this stuff at all times with the new kid, and I'm gonna have to, like Will get over it, like be a father. Type of thing. You know what I mean? That sounds hilarious, but I'm speaking. It's just me right now, or it's us, but I'm speaking like selfishly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm just like, dang, my whole world's gonna kind of like shift.
It will, and I could preach on this for hours. We've done it twice now, so we're in the thick of it. But it changes, and it becomes like not even a thought because you all of a sudden don't have an option, and you love that little baby so much that it becomes easy to a certain extent. Like it's so hard, but I feel like when you wake up in the morning and you're like frustrated at your dog, like, oh, why do you need to go pee? It's like different with your daughter.
Okay,
Because-
that's good for me to know because I'll compare Waffle to our little girl coming out. I'm just like, gosh, I hope I don't feel this way. You know what I mean? When my daughter's out in the world,
You will and you won't because
Yeah, I feel like we're talking about expectations and change in a really negative way.
yeah.
And it's not all negative. Like, I think people are scared of change because they're scared of loss. So
Yeah.
we're scared of losing this time that we have. Like, it's just so open and we can do whatever we want with it. We can go out of town. But there's so much we're going to gain,
Wow.
right? I mean, we're going to gain this person that we love and that we love taking care of. And that's going to be like our family, our own nuclear family now. And that's exciting, right?
yeah,
I don't know.
She's mature and deep.
she's
Dude.
she's way more mature than me.
What's the dynamic here? I'm curious. We haven't talked much, Charo, so it's a
No.
pleasure to have this conversation.
We've heard a lot
but-
about you. I do remember on your podcast, we were like, tell us about her because
Yeah.
you're getting ready to propose.
What is the
I'm
dynamic?
like blushing. I'm getting really hot.
How'd you guys meet?
Oh gosh.
Oh, I knew this would get to come up, which is fun because I got to pry at you guys with your whole situation.
No, you
You
freaking
did.
roasted us.
You
Is what
did.
happened.
Dude, it
You
was so much
I did listen to that
blasted
podcast
us.
and
Yeah.
I laughed a lot.
Yeah.
so.
Oh man.
Oh man, in the DMs.
Well, I feel like I was almost you, and Will was almost Shawn in the situation.
You were chasing him. You were blowing
Not
him
really. I mean,
Come
not
on,
really.
Up. Oh yeah, spill the beans here, Charo. What's happening?
But I did send the first DM. We can
So,
start there. Or
It's a crazy full circle.
you're gonna start in 2014 or 2015.
Wow.
2014.
Okay.
God,
It was 2014. We were at Dallas. We were playing the Cowboys on a Thursday night game.
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football, one of those primetime games. And cheerleaders don't get to travel, but a few get to go to the away games, to support the team or whatever.
Because you were an NFL cheerleader at the time.
Yes.
For
was.
which team?
For the
Washington.
then Washington Redskins.
Okay.
Yeah, Washington. Yeah, a little dicey. But so Charo travels to the game. I'm just out doing warm-ups, doing all of our pregame stuff before you go into the locker room, before you have, the coach calls it up. We're out doing our pregame stuff.
And you were playing for the Redskins.
I'm playing.
Okay.
We don't know each other at all.
Okay, just
We don't know each
painting
other.
the picture.
I have been cheering since 2010.
Okay.
It's now 2014.
Yeah. And I noticed Charo on the sideline, and I kind of see this girl. I'm like, oh,
She's
man.
wearing regular street clothes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like, into it, right? And you know how dudes are. Like, I saw Charo and I'm thinking like, oh, yo, who is this chick? And I felt like she was looking at me, but I wasn't sure. I'm in all my gear. I'm in my helmet and everything. And this is pre-veneers
And
too.
you do the whole eye black and everything too?
Yeah. So
Pre-veneers?
yeah,
Those
these
are
veneers.
Oh, shit.
Have you not seen Will's old teeth?
That's why
No.
you're trying to flash him so
I wish
much.
we could pull those up.
Yeah.
Will's walking around like this.
Yeah.
Hey, check out my veneer.
This is DirecTV. The old stuff was cable television.
Okay.
It wasn't good. And I don't know if she's looking at me, but it seemed that way because we're all out there on the field
Yeah.
and stuff. And so I'm like, I'm gonna look at her as I'm like running by to go back to the locker room playing in Dallas. And I run by, and I felt like we were looking at each other, but that was it.
Were you trying to like? Were you running by like this?
Yeah, running by, kind of like looking like, yo, is she staring at me?
And I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
we
yeah,
I thought we made eye contact, but it's hard to tell with their helmets on.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the end.
kind of running, kind of tightened up a little bit. And that was it. That was it. That was
And
the
I
only
did
thing
say to my
knew.
friend that day, like, who's number 51? She's like, oh, that's Will Compton.
So she was looking.
And I was like, oh, I don't know who that is.
But we don't know anything after that. A year goes by. There's no, I don't know who she was. She knew who I was, but I didn't know what was happening to where we're trying to like find each other, right? So a year goes by, and the next off season we're doing Alfred Morris's charity event, DC for Kids.
First of all, I like
Dreams
how he
for
said-
kids.
I like how he said she knew who I was.
I
I'm Will Compton,
I
bro.
won't say
And
like that.
she knew who I was. All
But
right.
because we were wearing our jerseys and stuff.
Okay.
So she could have tried to, reach out or something.
Yes.
But the next year, we're at the charity event for Alfred Morris, and Charo was there with her at the time boyfriend.
His name, yes, never mind.
Whoa, whoa.
I'm just going to say his name was also Will.
Yeah,
That's all I was
tough.
going to
I
say.
thought it was gonna be like.
no, it wasn't big like that. We just had the same name. And she.
But I'm
goes-
also there in street people clothes, not
Right.
as a cheerleader.
Okay.
and it's for.
It's an adaptive clinic for kids with disabilities.
Yes, there we go.
And Will was hungover.
Oh no.
And I was there as a volunteer, so I was helping the kids go through their drills.
Yeah, and Charo goes through my drill, and I'm like, "Yo, who is this smoke going through my drill?" And she's got her boyfriend with her. She's got a guy with her. And during
And
lunch,
you're like, yo, dude, your footwork sucks, bro.
Yeah.
Like, pick him up. Nah.
and during lunch, there was like a pizza break, and Charles walking, and she had a Pro Bowl hat on, and so my way of trying to like talk to her, I was like, "Oh, hey, where'd you get that Pro Bowl hat?" And she was like, "The Pro Bowl." And I'm thinking in my head, like, "Okay, man." And I'm like, "Did you like go to the game?" And she was like, "Yeah, I was in it." And I was like, "Oh, you're in it?" She's like, "Yeah, I cheer for you guys." I'm like, "For the Redskins?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, snap!" And then we kind of just met right there in passing. The next
And
day,
the other Will is standing right there, just like.
Well, I know he was like-
conversation.
he was somewhere
Well,
else,
it
I
was
think.
just an innocent exchange of like
Yeah.
6 words.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you
And,
shut him down, kind of like, where'd you get that Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
kind of.
Literally, the Pro Bowl.
I
And-
bought this on Amazon.
And the next day, I open up my Instagram. I'm riding with my boy Shawn. He was an offensive lineman at the time,
Yes.
and I had this DM from Charo, and she had slid in my DMs.
I had my
Wow.
phone had gotten like a little inebriated the night before.
Mm.
Okay.
So my phone sent that message
Yes.
when I was out late.
Yeah, Charo
Yeah.
was out late, and like the DM said, we're kind of out on ourselves a little
We
bit.
really are, but we can like clear things up later.
For sure. I mean, we're married. We're gonna have a kid. It's all
Yeah.
good now. But she was like, "Hey, I see you have a girlfriend. I have a boyfriend, but that doesn't mean we can't be friends." What does that mean?
What?
Talk to me.
Coming on strong.
What does that mean for a guy?
You're making plays for sure.
Yeah.
You're shooting a shot.
Yeah, that's plays.
What were you trying to get from that message?
Ultimately, probably
The relationship I was in was very unhealthy and bad. I will preface it with that. But
That's a power move.
I don't know.
Hey,
I mean,
Carl making
you
plays.
say
shooting the
everybody's
shot.
fair game unless you're married.
Yeah, 100%.
That you have literally said that, which
But
I
she
don't
came out
really
and just,
agree
like,
with.
She
but-
like addressed it. She was like, "Yo, we're all dated up, but like, let's start walking down this path." You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Dang.
And so we get into a couple messages, and we figure out. She was like, "I had saw you. I don't. We had said something. She was like, "I was at your game, last year
Yeah.
against the Cowboys." And I'm thinking, yo, is this that chick? And we
her.
come to find out, like, it was her.
Dang,
That's funny.
This is romantic.
It is
Yeah,
romantic.
Isn't it
we get
so
to the end,
so
and it's like,
romantic?
oh, dang, that is really cool. But to get there is like, and then we message, we end
But
up,
we didn't hang out for months.
she wouldn't give me her number.
We only DM'd.
Yeah, she only kept me in the
You were
DMs.
playing games.
She was playing games, bro.
I wasn't playing games.
So you sent the message, and
I
then
mean,
She had to make him work for it. Are you kidding? Come on.
no, that at that point,
but Will
game
also,
is
let's be
on.
clear, Will literally was in a relationship.
Oh, we were on a break.
Will
I was
had
on
a
break in my
girlfriend.
relationship.
Oh god.
But yeah, and so, we messaged for a long time before she even gave me her number. And then eventually when she had gotten out of her relationship fairly soon after that, right?
Yeah.
Then mine was like the next year, and then
The next
Wow.
year.
No, I waited a
the
very long
next
time.
spring.
But I didn't actually
Wow.
wait around. Like I was like getting over the last relationship.
Yeah.
And then,
how'd you get over the last relationship? What's that process look like?
that's like we're going from like funny jokes to like deep
Okay.
trauma.
I'll-
I'm just kidding.
I'm just.
I feel like if you're in a relationship, or when I was in a relationship with this person for 5 years on and off, and when you're in a relationship for so long, it takes a long time to like unwind it,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. So we were just kind of off and on, and I think at the end of it, the only thing we hadn't tried was like breaking up, and it had gotten really, really unhealthy, and it's really hard to see that situation when you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Like all my friends are like, "This is not good for you. Get out of it. End it." And eventually, I just finally listened to them. And it was a great decision. It was really hard, but it's weird talking about that person now, like me as that person and my ex, because it was such a big part of my life then. But now it's like zero part of my life.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's really
It's
weird
nuts how yeah.
because
you
you
move
were in
on
that
from
relationship for
relationships.
8.5 years.
Yeah, mine was 8.5 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was a long time, and it's super hard when you like got to get out of it. And then like you probably talk to like younger kids or my little brother or somebody who you kind of like mentor, right? And they're in like a relationship, or you're kind of trying to tell them or kind of give them game on like, hey, it's gonna be okay, but you just can't teach experience.
No.
Yeah.
You can't give people like the experiences that you went through being like, you're gonna be okay. Like getting uncomfortable and doing this. Cause ultimately it's the right thing, but you're so comfortable in it
Yeah.
that you don't know anything else. And you think about the grass being greener all the time. And then you kind of get an opportunity to be there and then you don't want to. And then you're like, oh man, but what if it's, what if it's not? And then you just
Right.
stay in the situation that you're in
Right.
because you're so afraid to like get away from what you're used to.
Yeah.
Well, you're afraid to start over too, because it takes a long time to get to know someone and date them and get comfortable again.
Right.
And that, like, a lot of times people just stay because it's a lot of work too.
You feel like you waste your time too.
Yeah.
You're like, if I end this, like all this, you look back on your last few years, like I'll look back on like when it was happening in like year 6 and 7 and stuff, and you're kind of like going back and forth with all of it. And you like think about college, you're like, man, I just don't want to feel like I wasted all my years in college and stuff like that. And you're like, you climb to the mountain. Like you said, you don't want to go back down and start over climbing another one.
Yeah.
But all those things you learned along the way are so valuable,
Absolutely.
which is like what we eventually get to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've always talked on our podcast. I was in a 4 or 5 year relationship before Andrew. It was very unhealthy. And I truly don't think I would have dated Andrew if it weren't for that relationship. So you don't regret it, but you learn from it.
That's true. Yeah.
100%.
Wasted is not the right way to view it. It's not like, that was just such a, because like there's good stuff that comes from that. And I feel like it's not healthy when you view past relationships as like Shawn and I don't talk about our exes all the time because nobody likes that. But like, it's like, we'll talk about memories of, hey, I went to whatever, like we took this trip, and we're not trying to like hide anything. I feel like that's a bad way to approach it, where you try to act like that never existed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that phase of life just wasn't there. But if you're appreciative for the good that you got out of it, to like Charles' point, like it's a process of getting to where you are now. But how long did you guys date before you got engaged?
You dated,
Officially,
yeah, what was it, 16?
it was like 2.5 years, quote unquote, officially dating.
Yeah.
So you were in a 5-year, you were in an 8.5. What, like you just knew though with Charo, it was like,
And that, then we're a little older now. We have this experience of what did not work, right? Of what we did not want.
Yeah.
And all these insecurities that came along with those things. So I think it was like a certain maturity you reach, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't doubt it after 2.5 years.
Oh, of us getting married?
Yeah, of us getting engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, it
I
was
thought
just
you were
quicker.
asking about like the in-between of the relationships.
No, how did you know? Like, because you were in an 8.5-year relationship, but after 2.5 years with Charo, you were like,
Yeah, I mean,
it's time to move it.
too, like when you're in a long-term relationship and you kind of view your younger self in a certain way, like you do, I feel like you grow through experiences and gain a little bit more wisdom and knowledge, like with yourself. You're more comfortable with who you are, and you kind of just feel like you're in a place to where you're ready to accept stuff like that. Like sometimes I just felt like I would battle and be in my own head about wanting to do other things, right? Like going and playing in the NFL, and you get caught up in some of that stuff. And I do feel like it's like a level of maturity, and Char was somebody who, you know, obviously I was into from a like being attracted to her standpoint, but obviously her speaking on this podcast, she has like this intellectual and brain capacity that we sit and when we go on our dates and everything like that, like we're always kind of talking about things like this. So, yeah, I've just,
How did you propose?
oh, this is awesome.
Today's episode is brought to you by AG1.
Babe, guess what I just restocked our kitchen with?
What? Tell me, I'm dying.
I literally ordered like 10 full, like industrial sized bags of AG1. If you guys don't know, we took it to the 4th of July family reunion with us, and every morning I would find like aunts, uncles, like stealing scoops of it, and we went through bags within a week.
We go through quick, whether it's family members or guests staying at our house. This stuff is so good. We recommend it to everyone because with just one scoop of AG1 in your water each morning, you get 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens.
And for a greens powder, I really think it tastes good. It's like pineapple-y, tropical greens tasting powder.
Once you start, it's hard to stop.
It really is. And what I love, a lot of my friends have asked me, what's like the elevator pitch with this? And I would say that if you have any nutritional gaps within your diet, which we all do, this helps fill that. So if you were to take one supplement a day, I would recommend this.
It helps with your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, focus, and aging. And to make it easy for you to try, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase.
All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/EastFam. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/EastFam to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
We'll also link it down below. Let's get back to it.
Oh, I mean, it's not like it is awesome, but it's just funny because I get super nervous, like getting really like
He's nervous right now.
yeah, I get super nervous getting like gooey, I guess, or like, you know, getting like
Feelings.
Vulnerable.
Like,
yeah, vulnerable in like a relationship or like with Charo or
Getting
being
gooey.
yeah, like that romantic movie.
Are
like
you
I
okay?
struggle.
Yeah, he's like,
yeah.
Your body language is just like,
No, I'm like trying to like be in the moment.
yeah.
And proposing to Charo, I knew I would struggle getting down and being in public in front of people and being, you know, like
Yeah.
a romantic style, getting
Yeah.
gooey. And so she had always wanted like a love letter written from me, and I would just always tell her, babe, you're not getting a love letter from me. Like, I'm not writing you a love letter.
You're really clear with each other about our expectations.
Yeah. And like, you know, I'm not gonna do that. And I didn't think it'd be because she loves cards and she loves writing. You know what I mean? Like for Valentine's Day, she got me a card and had writing and stuff like that. And when I saw the card, I was like, oh, I didn't write like a card. I should have wrote her a card. Like she loves that stuff. And so when I knew I was gonna propose, I was like, oh, I got it. I can help my fear of like being in public and proposing in front of people and like saying stuff
By writing a letter.
by writing a love letter.
We got there.
Because she doesn't ever think I'm going to write her a love letter. Wow. So I wrote her a love letter. I got these reservations. She flew in because that was my first stint in Oakland, and that was kind of in the back half of the year. So going to Oakland kind of upended what I was thinking about proposing. And it was about to be her birthday. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it on like Christmas or do it in some other way. There was a Christmas story in there too that I kind of just didn't do it then. But the day before her birthday, I took her out to eat, and we got this little reservation at the front, like on this restaurant that's right on the street. And we had this table that was right in the front window, just a little 2-seater. And it was her birthday, and I was like, I got you a birthday present. And I pull out this envelope, and I hand it to her.
It was like a business envelope.
Okay.
Like a
You
long.
got to make do with your resources.
Of course.
And she opens it up, and she starts like reading. I'm like, you got to read it aloud. That's the only stipulation for this. She's like, why do I got to read it aloud? I'm just like, read it aloud. So she starts reading it. She doesn't know I'm going to propose. She just starts tearing up.
I think it's like a birthday card.
Yeah, because she realizes I'm writing her a love letter on her birthday. And then the last paragraph, that's where I bring it home. And then I kind of move the table aside, and I get out on the knee.
I don't.
You moved the table.
Yes,
I
move the table.
moved the table aside. It was a small restaurant. We moved to the side. I get out on a knee, and she's crying, and I'm like, kind of like, I'm so nervous.
Dang,
She says yes, and we just have the best time.
that's great.
Yeah,
You did it towards the beginning of dinner or the end?
the end.
Very end.
I think that's the play.
Yeah,
Really?
But how nervous were you leading up?
bro, my heart was
Like the whole
pounding.
dinner.
I was gonna say, I feel like it would almost be easier to just do it at the beginning.
No, but then what do you talk about after? You're just like, oh, I can't believe we did it. It's
Okay,
just like
I'm
you
gonna
say
have the
that-
steak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's better.
Yeah.
It is.
I
I
think
just
the
feel
end's
like
the
you'd
play.
be so nervous the whole time. Just-
Yeah,
Oh, I was, man. My hands are sweating now telling the story.
like just a story.
Yeah.
Are you
But yeah,
okay?
that's how we did it.
Someone asked like, why do you get nervous for proposing? Because you guys, there's no question that she was probably gonna say yes, right? Like,
I don't know, man. I'm just kidding.
Wait,
Yeah, no, I
Well-
know.
but, like the nerves don't come from the 50-50. It's
Do the nerves come from guys genuinely being like nervous, will say no? Or is it like the nerves of commitment or the nerves of like the gesture? Like, where do the nerves come from?
It's got to be the gesture, right? I mean, obviously the commitment I feel like does play into it. Just being
you thought
very
about
real about it.
Like beforehand, like clearly you think about
Yeah.
the commitment beforehand. So I feel like it's the vulnerability.
Yeah, so
Like,
like,
I'm gonna
that
talk about these
gesture, like getting
feelings.
into it. I mean, it's like going into like, your first game, and you're just so you're like really nervous about performing a big performance. Like, you've been planning on it and expecting it and all this other stuff, but leading up to it, you're still like in your own head about it. And you kind of got to like zoom out to get out of the nerves. But I feel like that's kind of a
It's
comparison
a good sports
from
metaphor.
yeah,
You
from
really
a jock.
Enjoy
Yeah.
those.
It was better than my analogy earlier.
Well, yeah, the kite.
But I don't know. It's like you do it one time, so it's just the gravity of the situation where you're like, oh dang, this is it. This is the one. Like I'm proposing right now. This is my one shot. I don't know. I feel it's not the nerves that come from, is she gonna say yes? It's like, this is a life changing moment.
Yeah.
Do you think there are like proposals out there where it's like, I don't know what she's gonna say?
Probably.
Man, if that is true, that's tough.
Could you imagine like proposing and being like, no,
Saying no. Yeah,
Did you ever think she was going to say no?
No.
no?
No, but I also don't know. Like, I think sometimes I'm like overly optimistic too. So
I like that. I'm with that. You're a glass half full always. Same.
We had been dating for like
yeah,
2.5 years, so
yeah.
I feel like if it is within a few months or something, or the first
Yeah,
year,
then it's
then
like
maybe
a-
you think
Awesome.
about it. Like, is she actually thinking that?
yeah.
Is she gonna be ready for this?
Yeah.
But that would be tough, man. It's like, hey, let's just shelf this for a little bit, yo.
Yeah, that would hurt the ego a little bit.
Oh yeah,
I feel like getting engaged is kind of something that maybe you should talk about though before you get engaged.
Yeah.
Like that just symbolizes you're communicating and that you're
Yes.
have a healthy relationship.
that's what I'm saying.
Like emotionally healthy over here.
That's what I'm saying.
She's emotionally healthy.
Yeah.
What's your background, Charo? How'd you get here? You did cheerleading for
How did I get here? I cheered in the NFL for 5 years. Before that, I danced pre-professionally, I suppose. I was an accountant. I was a tax accountant for 7 years, simultaneously with being a cheerleader.
Wow.
And now I work at Bar 3, so a fitness company, nationwide, worldwide. And I just got a new job within the company, so I'm pretty pumped.
Whoa,
That's
sick.
awesome.
Congrats.
Yeah.
But hang on though, she was a tax accountant making solid money. and she left her corporate tax accountant job because she had like a passion to do like bar 3
That's
and
awesome.
like help open a franchise and like be a manager. They were like top 5 in the country.
Why do you like it so much? Why do you care about it so much?
Why do I care about bar 3?
Mm-hmm.
Well, dance is my first passion. So dance, I've loved dance since I was a really little girl, and I'm sure you can really relate to this type of like mindset. I really wanted to be a professional dancer, and I think the choice came when I had to choose college or dance, and I chose college. I don't know if that was the right decision looking back on it, but I mean, obviously it's taken me to where I am right now. So it was the decision that has made me who I am. But so dance is always my first love, right? And I went the accounting route because I have a logical mind and I love math, and you know, everyone needs an accountant, right? That's what people say. So I got into the business school and I studied accounting, and I liked tax accounting, which is strange. So I got a job in tax in 2008, which was really tough times for a lot of college grads, I think, to get jobs. So I had a job lined up before I even graduated, and I was like, great, I'm set. I'm going to be a tax accountant. I'm going to work at a Big Four. So I worked in public accounting for a while, and then, you know, I'd show up to work every day, and I would stare at spreadsheets, and I would like make numbers appear out of numbers, and I would file tax returns, and it just wasn't very fulfilling for me personally. That was my experience with it. So at the same time, I was cheering, which, you know, is very spread thin. I have no idea how I managed my time back then, because at this point, I'm like, I'm going to go to bed at 9. And back then, I went to bed like at 1 a.m. after practice.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And then I'd wake up and go to work, and then I'd work out. Like, I would just do so many things within one day. But then when I retired from cheerleading 5 years later, I was like, I'm going to need something to feed my right brain, because I love dance so much. If I just have to go to my office job and like literally just make numbers out of numbers, then I am going to, it's not going to be great. I'm going to feel very unfulfilled and unsatisfied. So that was when there was a Bar 3 studio opening around the corner from my house. And I reached out to the owner on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I'd love to come teach for you. I had taken Bar 3 classes before, and they really kind of filled that void for me of like movement and exercise and music and just all of it combined. Like just wellness, feeling good, because that's kind of what dance is. It's movement to music. Got the job and really lobbied her heavily to hire me full time as her manager. And she did. So I took the job, left my accounting job, didn't look back. And, you know, people kept saying, you can always go back to tax. And I didn't really like that, because it's like, I don't want to. Like, I lived in DC at the time, and everyone kind of in that city, the question is very much, what do you do? And depending on how you answer, that's kind of how they value you. So since I was a professional back then, I was an accountant, I could say I'm an accountant. I have like a prestigious job. But then after that, I wasn't saying that anymore. I was saying I'm a fitness studio manager. I work at a fitness studio, and I think for a while I didn't. I had to like validate it, but I used to be an accountant, you know. But now I'm like, I work in a fitness studio, and like I don't care what you think about me. Like I don't care if you think I'm smart, or if you think I'm a sellout, or if you think I don't know. There's just such a perception of different career paths, and it took me a while to create my own worth there.
Where do you think like being a pro podcaster falls on the range of like fitness studio?
Dude,
I love that you
podcasts?
said you put a
Pro.
pro.
I like that
Pro
too. I like
podcaster.
that too.
She said pro
You guys
podcaster.
are pro podcasters.
Hey, and you're not just a fitness studio manager now. You're a franchise operations.
Let's go,
manager.
Charo.
That was a lot of talking for me. I'm sorry, guys.
No, that's what podcasting is.
I know, right? But I think podcasting, no, to answer your question though, for real, like podcasting is it. This is where all the conversations are being had right now.
It's interesting. Here's what I like about what we do is, first of all, like you got a guy like Will, who, by the way, since the last time we had a conversation with Will on a podcast, Bussin' with the Boys has just blown up.
Yeah.
The freaking
Thanks,
boys.
bro.
Yeah.
And you were like, and I remember that time you're like, hey man, like you can do this thing, you know, no matter how it takes shift. You're like, you know, I know you depend and lean on and want to count on everybody, but you were always somebody who was like, you know, you can do this thing.
Well, you were in a better situation football wise than I was, but I saw that you loved the podcasting, and you're like, I want, like, I kind of would be into doing it full time. I'm like, you can freaking do it.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now
yeah.
you signed with Barstool. Freaking
Because Taylor was
big
playing
time.
football and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff would be kind of up in the air on like,
Yeah, yeah.
because at that time we didn't have a lot backlogged in the library, and you were like, hey man, like you can do this thing too. Like if you went full time, like you could do this thing. But yeah, I don't forget that, bro.
But it's like his show. I don't mean to like. It's mostly like bros. Like it's like a bro. It's like
very
the
Barstool.
boys.
The
It's the
boys.
boys.
Shawn to this day has been the only girl that's been on the bus.
Seriously?
I don't like
Is
that.
that true?
Yeah,
You gotta change that.
I know. I do.
Come on.
I do want to change that. But when you were reaching out to like my network,
You're
I
about
can't
to be a
help it.
girl dad,
Yeah,
okay?
I feel that. I feel that.
About
Yeah,
to
I'm
be a
about to
girl
be a
dad.
girl dad. I know.
You gotta
We
bring
gotta-
all the girl.
and Taylor's just a girl dad as well.
Exactly.
Just a girl dad.
Just a girl dad.
You know, he's got 2 daughters.
I get it.
But nobody gets to see the gooey side of Will. And I
It's
think it's
true.
actually important because, like, no matter how much of a bro you are, like, you might have a girlfriend, you might be gooey sometimes, and I think it's good to see that every now and then. And like, I think you set a good example together. You guys are a freaking great couple.
Let's
So like,
go, babe.
Hey.
but what are your thoughts on being a girl dad while we're on the topic?
Man, I'm stoked. When it first happened,
I
well,
stuck.
when we first got news, I was convinced that little William Earl Compton IV was coming. And when it was pink, dude, I was bummed that it wasn't a boy.
I did. I had to like comfort him.
And I was like, oh. And I even said, because I knew they were gonna film us and stuff. I was like, babe, like, you know I want a boy, and I'm not gonna be like everybody who's just happy that they're figuring out their kid. Like, I'm like, if it's not a boy, I'm probably gonna be bummed. And I was bummed at first, but with 100% confidence, I think I am actually more excited about having a daughter now, because I see the girl dads out there, and I don't know if it's I'm growing, like I've just accepted the fact that I'm having a daughter, but I feel like I like being around Win and Willow, Taylor's daughters, and I just see the girl aspect. I'm just like, they seem a lot more fun at this age than having like a boy. The boys are they're a little rowdy now.
Especially little William Earl IV.
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
that boy
yeah.
would be.
And I just know you're like, you'll be better. It's better for you to have a girl. It's better for her to have a boy. And I do think it would be good for me to have like a little girl. So I'm very excited.
We were talking about this the other night, but like next go around,
Stop
Doggy
it.
style.
Stop it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
He's like, stop, no. Doggy style.
He kind of whispers it.
that's how Jet's here, man. That's how.
You know, it's not,
Hey, let's
it's
go.
not
It's a
thing, bro.
scientifically
It's a thing.
proven.
It's a thing. What'd you
It
say?
is not
It's not
scientifically proven.
I
This
think
is-
there's numbers. I think there's stats.
There could be
The
numbers.
data's there.
It might not be 100%, but it could be numbers.
Yeah, no. It's not 100% shoo-in, but I think there is some science. I think there is some science.
I've read that where it's the doggy. It's as deep as possible.
Oh my.
Because I'll tell you why. And this is, hey, is this
You've
not a
been doing a lot of
podcast?
side
It's a
research.
podcast called Couple Things. Like we're trying to put couples on game.
yeah, man.
There's some dads out there that are probably, or some guys out there that are probably watching. Like,
I
all
got
right, this is
three.
what we need.
I got 3 girls. I need a boy. Like,
Yeah.
here's your advice.
Or the girls watching can be like, hey, honey, like you always say this. I was listening to Couple Things, and because the male sperm swims quicker, but the female sperm live longer.
See,
So the closer you are, the
Oh,
better
gosh.
chance you have for a boy. Because if you're farther away, or not the most ideal position, the women's sperm live longer, and clearly they'll probably be smarter getting there.
oh man.
I'm gonna jump back real quick before we go down any
Hopefully that
further.
makes the cut. Hopefully that's
Yes.
the episode.
That's real talk though. That's
That's
hey,
gay.
that's what you hear in the locker room. It's like,
Yeah.
dog.
What you hear in the locker room.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
They're just
I didn't
talking
just
about
make it
okay.
up. I didn't just
But
say
Shawn,
that.
the dudes who are like trying for a kid, they'll be out with their phones and we'll be in hot tubs and realize, oh, hey guys, we gotta get out of the hot tub. If you're trying to have a kid, you can't be in the hot tubs.
Yeah.
Very
It's like a
true.
real
Yeah,
thing.
you gotta
Very
watch the
true.
sperm count, man.
Yeah.
And you better wear the briefs and not the boxers, right?
Right.
Or no,
You-
switch. Boxers is better.
Boxers
Boxers,
are
you
better.
don't want it snug.
Yeah, it's a little more.
You
Yeah.
want it like loose. You want it comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And
you're
stop
right.
riding
Let it breathe.
bikes.
Huh?
Stop
Really?
riding bikes.
Bikes is not good. It like cinches your. Yeah, it's like
Ooh.
because think about the seat right where. It,
See, this is
Yeah.
I know it's funny and
We
like,
never-
oh man, I can't believe we went there.
It's real
but
though.
This is real
Just
stuff.
need to do a podcast on the best practices.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we're educating the masses.
the thought I had was, I said earlier, I think a girl is better and for you and a boy, but the only reason why I said that is when we didn't find out what our daughter was. So it was a surprise when we had her. It was crazy. We thought we were having a boy. And we had a girl.
Same thing though. I like popped. You're like hoping it's like a boy. A dad. You want a boy.
Yeah, you
So-
want a little you, man.
So I was like checking like when she was born. And I was like, no, but I was hyped. But you're looking.
We got
like,
Andrew back a lot. We got him in his locker room personality. This is what
Yeah,
want.
you
This is
did.
what you want.
However, it was really cool, and it's been really cool over the past 2 years. I feel like a girl challenges me a lot more because I see myself in her. I see everything I went through as a girl in my daughter. And I felt like pressure from day one to almost try to figure out how to raise her to be better than I was. To be like a stronger girl and a stronger like advocate and voice and like just like a really strong girl. And I just feel pressure with her. Whereas like when we had our son, I'm just like, you're my boyfriend and I'm just in love with you. That's it. I can't see anything in his life, but it's really cool to witness Andrew raise a girl because just like you guys are so like, you're such strong men and like your beliefs and your values and like, it's just really cool to see you share that with a girl, I think.
I'm a stronger man though. Physically stronger,
Okay.
I think.
You might be. I've seen your videos now. I see how you get down in that
I'm
basement.
kidding. Yeah, sorry, I ruined the moment.
You
I
did.
apologize.
That's really cool though, because I do agree with that. It's like whether it's philosophy, like we were talking about JP earlier, like Jordan Peterson, like all the stuff that you get into, and yeah, you were an Olympian, you perform at such high levels. Like there definitely is. Like I feel like I can say that I would probably be different with the girl and the boy, just because I would want the little Liam is what we were gonna call him. Little Liam, I'd want him to be better than me, and I would want to instill everything I know now into him sooner before he gets to my age, so he doesn't, whether it's make the same mistakes or he understands sooner. But I like that because I would feel pressure.
But didn't you say earlier you can't teach experience?
You
can't.
can't, but it's
But yeah,
It's
it's
hard
like the
to-
innate.
you got a good quote. You can't read the directions when you're inside the box.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's hard to pull your, like when you're in the box, you can't see it until you're like, you can't teach experience. And then you're like, okay, yeah, I got to zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I
it
can
would
see
be
that
tough.
though. I have not thought about that in respect to raising a girl, but
Yeah, you might be putting on pressure on her now.
now I'm like feeling the pressure.
No.
that you just talked about.
I will say though, it's so special no matter what. Are you kidding? It's your babies. And my girl is my girl. She's
Yeah.
my little girl dude. I love it. And we definitely have a different bond than I think my son will ever. It's just different. It's awesome.
So let me give you the timeline of how the kid thing is panned out for us. First 4 months, grind. It's a grind. Like you enjoy every second of it, but like it's work. Like with you and little waffles. And then they'll like start crawling. They're a little mobile, like 6 months.
Dog out.
6 months, 6 months to a year, like crawling, moving around. You get hyped about that. But just now, like Drew's 2.5, and I was in the gym today, like wrestling her, playing around, and she has like awareness to be playful. So it's like she kind of has another layer of reality that she's able to be playful with now.
Yeah.
And dude, it's just like every step gets better and better. So, but you got to make it through the first 4 months.
Grind
Not-
through the first 4 months.
Well,
You got
okay.
it. No,
Last thing, because that's daunting again.
I'm just.
But sometimes you need the truth. Set me up, anchor me in, like, oh man, it's gonna be a grind. And then when it's not as bad, it wasn't as bad as what I was thinking.
I will say this before we had Drew, because we were like the first of our friends to have kids. Every single person told us like, "Oh, why so early? You're gonna lose like your freedom. You can't travel. All these things." It was all pessimistic, and it was all like negative expectations. And I can truly say it's the greatest thing that has ever happened to us in our entire
Having
life.
kids, yeah, no,
Yes, it's made us closer. It's made our relationship stronger. It's made just how we view life better. It's truly the greatest blessing in the entire world. It is amazing.
So when you say it's made you two stronger, I feel like, you get mixed experiences. Like some people, they kind of grow apart because maybe the mom is getting what she needs from the baby, or they're just, you know, you're so focused on the baby, you don't give each other intentional time. So how have you guys practiced that?
We actually learned that on this podcast from a different couple, like an older couple. And they said the most important thing to remember when you have kids is that you two are always each other's number one. And then your kids are your number one, if that makes sense.
Collective number one.
Collective number one. So you always have to remember you're better parents when you're stronger together. And it's so easy with kids, like you said, if you get in an argument to go get your like love and your cup filled from your kid instead of your husband or your wife. And if you always remember to like make each other a priority, then you guys are teammates and you can like fight off the kids, if that makes sense.
So I do I do think there's a little bit of a perspective that we have where it's like Shawn and I versus the kids. Like not like aggressively, but it's like, yo, it's us and
Them.
and we're figuring you guys out. It's not like individual. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I say that though, and it's so good. I don't want any of this to come off wrong. I say that because the day we went in to have our daughter, my biggest fear was that I was going to lose my husband because there was going to be a kid to almost like wedge between us. That was my biggest fear. And so we almost like made a pact at the hospital. We were like, no matter what, you are my number one. And it's us versus the kids. And it's actually made it better because we enjoy our kids more.
I feel like that could be one of your bigger fears.
I haven't articulated it like that, but
it makes sense because you've never shared your husband with someone. And
totally. I mean, I haven't.
And it's another person that you're going to like split your husband with for the rest of your life. And they terrified me. It was like, what if he loves our daughter more than he loves me? And so
I think Will loves waffle more than he loves me. And stuff.
yes.
No. I do love that bulldog though.
Yeah.
So I think with kids, we've just made a pact and we've worked on it. And it's hard, but we've worked on it to make sure we prioritize each other.
Are there fears at this phase for you?
I mean, you're asking someone who's like about to go into labor soon.
Yeah. Don't ask that question.
We talked about our fears with our doula the other day, but I'm not so much scared of the pain. I'm really scared of my expectation managing, like knowing myself. That's what I'm scared of. But then that fear too. I mean, also just like you take this baby home and it's like, all right, what now? Just a lot of uncertainty and unknown.
Yeah.
But that really, when I bring myself out of it, it's like, there's nothing to be scared of.
No.
Literally every human on earth has been born.
Question.
Yeah.
This doesn't even have to make the podcast, but you said doula. Are you doing home birth?
We're not doing home birth. We're doing a birthing center though.
Yeah.
Great.
So
Home births really scare me.
Was that a tough
no, it
choice for you?
terrifies me. Yeah, I'm like first birth. Definitely do
home
not
birth.
want to.
Like you can totally do natural, but like have a doctor on the side just in case.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
man.
we're
You
going to
know
be in a
how it
birth
is. You
center
gotta
that
just sit in the
has a
back seat.
doctor.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, bro.
I like best of both worlds.
Like, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah. What do you want to do, babe? Yeah, I mean, it seems like this and that, but that's what you don't want.
You got
You know, we were talking with our doula about the epidural, and
bro, you get it, dog.
and like
You're
she's
good.
like, okay, if you say like if I say that I want the epidural, how many times do you want me to push back? Do you want me to like remind you that you don't want it? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, push back a little bit. Like she's like, okay, I will push back 3 times. I was like, okay, this is great. And then we go. She's like, that's what I will do as the doula. Will, what will you do? And Will's like, I'm not gonna let her have it.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
You don't
the
get it,
doula
bro.
was like,
You don't get it, bro.
I know it's probably going to be emotionally hard on you, Will, seeing her. I'm like, yo, she doesn't want the epidural, and we're deciding that right now. Like, I'll be able to push her through making that epidural.
It's different though. Game day is different. Dog.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think Andrew was pushing me to get the epidural.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, absolutely not.
I have that same mindset though.
Oh,
where
you
it's-
were pushing her and she said no?
no,
Pretty much.
I was just like, we had a game plan.
On
so like,
game day, he was
so
saying get it.
Game day.
Yeah.
on day of, I was like, whatever she says goes. But like, I definitely have more the natural tilt where it's like, yo, we committed to not getting the epidural. That's what you wanted beforehand. And I had to like really push myself to be like, all right, she's clearly in a lot of pain. So let's I'm gonna let her ride
So,
this out. But
Our story was I was set on nothing. I was not doing epidural. I wasn't doing medication. Nothing. I wanted to do it completely natural.
she tapped out quick.
I tapped.
No, my bad. My bad. Not
Hey,
like
sometimes
that.
I made it-
Charles be like, I don't want to do a lot
Excuse
of stuff.
me.
I'm thinking, yo, I've
Excuse
seen your
me.
pay talents.
I made it 27 hours.
Okay, that is a very long time.
I did not tap out quick. I made it 27 hours.
My bad. Continue.
Thank you. Thank you. My bad. I tapped out at 27.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay. What were you saying? What were you saying?
She tapped out real quick. That's all I had to say.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
So, my
we
bad.
could leave. We could keep you guys here
I'm
forever.
not done yet.
You're not done?
No. Are you done with football?
Hey, never say never, man.
So you got the phone ready?
I mean, my focus going into this year is not the same as like years past. Like, I don't close the door all the way, but I do love what I'm doing with Busting with the Boys and expanding kind of like the media and personality stuff that we get to do, and then obviously becoming a father. I feel like being 32, going on 33, having 9 years, there's just not a lot of stress for me at all to like have some decision, and I'm not going to train like I'm going to go to an off season or something like that. Like we were actually talking about the other night, and I'd probably be down to like play at the end of the year again. If that situation presents itself. And you know how it is. Like, again, I'll be 33 at that point. Not a whole lot of film the last couple of years. So you don't even know if I'll get the opportunity to. But I think to say like, yeah, I'm done, I'm not going to do it again. You know, the last few years, I feel like I've kind of said that. I just don't want to put myself in that box because you just don't know. I'll be ready to play, but I'm more excited to do everything else than play football.
Yeah. First of all, your whole stint with Oakland was like, I mean, what a roller coaster.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I just got signed by Oakland. Next Instagram post. All right, I did.
So, man, that's from your playbook.
Oh, bro, that was my MO.
You would go around and talk about your journey and situation.
At what point did the NFL become Plan B for you?
I would say, hey, man, a little bit the year I had you guys on. That day, the Jets had called me to want to bring me out, and I was like, no, I don't want to. And then the Saints,
And then you got the Saints
called,
Dang.
and then I think I didn't answer my agent's call that day, so that way I could.
Do the podcast.
That's
with
what.
them.
No,
Wow.
it was either that. I think they were the Jets.
Thank you, Charo. Yeah. Oh, you didn't pick
Jets
that,
or
right.
Saints. But yeah, well, Barstool was a different time, and we had a meeting with Barstool because
Yeah.
they wanted to talk about bringing us on their network. And I really wanted to meet with Barstool, so I didn't call my agent at all back that day. And then I called late at night, like, hey, put me on the next flight in the morning. I was, working out, or I just got to my phone type of thing.
Yeah.
So that way I could focus on. But yeah, I would say
So
that's
that year?
that was the mental where I was like, I'm gonna skip off season as much as I can. And that point I did want to play. I wanted to play that year, but
Right.
the next year, the years after that was all this. The last 2 years have been kind of like icing on the cake with it all.
And it's good for like legit. It sounds so surface level to say, but it's like it becomes more of like the storyline of like, oh, it's whereas previously it was like I need to go do this tryout and make the team. It becomes more of like hey, this is gonna be interesting to see how this pans out. And like
Yeah.
either way, it's gonna be a fun story to tell, like on the podcast or with the boys. It's like
Right.
which is such a better, and to bring it full circle, like to parenting, I think having that perspective, like as you approach where we got trained with it in football, but with parenting, it's like going to be so tight, easy to want to have like a tight grip on how the birthing experience is going to go, or like how the schedule with the sleeping is going to go, or how you're going to feed them and what food, but having almost like a little looser grip of like, hey, it's going to be okay. Like this, I don't need to force this.
Yeah.
I think such a important lesson that I've learned through my career, and then for sure parenting, where it's like we have such a tight grasp of what plans we want to force into making a reality, but like it's actually kind of fun to just sit back and enjoy the ride, see how it rips. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I'm excited. And it's funny because I feel like we just had that conversation the other night about playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more along the lines of like, don't be so committed to something that you wouldn't take a better situation. And so I feel like if I commit myself to saying I'm done, and then the situation will arise, it's like, well, am I really done? Because the last couple of years I've kind of said the same thing, like, oh, I'm done after this year. And then usually I kind of get into it or something
You've been
happens
saying
where I
that
just
for like 5 years.
Yeah.
no, the year where I started the podcast, I would kind of say this is probably going to be the last year. And then in Oakland, I got to play, like I got to start. So then it kind of revamped getting an opportunity for film. Because if I would have just played special teams and back up the rest of the year and I just would have been a service guy the rest of the year,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have got to play anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the only reason that the Titans and the Raiders wanted me back and then I got an offer from the Titans is because I was able to put more game film out there.
Bro, I was dying at the post you had when you got signed, and it was like your neck all cranked up. Like your Instagram posts are wild, bro. Anyway,
I have fun on social media.
it's good.
I have to let them go.
Why do
You're
we
gonna
gotta
keep
go?
them for like an hour and a half.
Will,
Do you watch Bustin' with the Boys?
I
Their
do.
podcasts are like 3
Sometimes,
hours long.
sometimes we'll go around 2 hours,
Yeah.
two and a half hours.
I'm gonna ask this question. If you want to keep going, you can keep going.
Okay.
Okay. Your best piece of advice
We'll
you've
do our
been
own
given or
podcast.
would give about relationships.
Say that again.
Your best piece of advice you've been given or would give about relationships.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Man, we've had a wild few weeks, and we just got back from a week-long family vacation. Our floors are getting redone. We're leaving for a really fun project we're excited to talk to you guys about later. It feels like the things never stop.
Yeah, I know. It's been, to say the least, chaotic and crazy.
But thanks to BetterHelp, speaking with a therapist has been super easy no matter where we are. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to.
It's honestly been our go-to. I've been able to chat online with a therapist thanks to them.
Reminder to take care of yourself, or else you won't be able to take care of your family. And BetterHelp can play a part in that. BetterHelp is also much more affordable than in-person therapy. Give it a try and see if online therapy can help lower your stress.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Couple Things listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/EastFam.
That's BetterHelp.com/EastFam. We'll also link it down below.
You wanna
So
go? You go.
what the advice I was given and that I would give is therapy, going to couples therapy. My teammate Quincy in Nunwa, shout out Quincy. He was on the Jets. I played with him at Nebraska. What's up?
Is there a phone ringing?
It's literally a phone ringing.
What is this?
Oh, it's you're calling.
I'm dialing somebody.
Who
Who
are
am I
you
calling?
calling? You butt dialing someone?
I just butt dialed somebody.
Is
How
that
did that
even a
happen?
thing anymore?
I didn't
How is
know
that
you
possible?
could butt dial from an iPhone. When somebody's like, "Oh, sorry, I butt dialed you," I'm like, "How?"
What,
like
but
a
you just heard that
side
live.
dial.
Yeah.
Why? Sorry.
And
Clearly it's like,
but Quincy, he's somebody that's very much into like therapy and
And his wife is a therapist.
reading. Yeah, his wife's a therapist, and he's just somebody who's got, I feel like, a lot of wisdom that I look at, and he's one of my friends that I kind of like look up to, right? And we have a group chat that we've had since Nebraska. It's called The Island, where there's like 9 of us Nebraska players in it. And Quincy was just advising all of us to go to like couples therapy. He's like, I think you guys should do couples therapy. It's like the best thing. If you guys plan to get married, whether it's premarital counseling, I would advise you guys just do couples therapy just to do it. And that's when I brought it up to Charo, and we started going to therapy. And I feel like therapy's been such a good thing, a beneficial thing for us individually as a couple, to where I talk, like I'll talk about it. Like I'll go to the locker room, but hey, you guys should go to couples therapy. Like I'm telling you, it's not like you'll get over the hurdles of like the fears that I feel like guys would go through going into therapy, being a guy and just speaking from a guy's standpoint. But man, I think like therapy, man, having somebody at a third party to kind of give you perspective and stuff like that, because I feel like it's helped Charo and I out tremendously. So that would be my answer. Go ahead. Good luck topping that.
Well, to kind of tie into your answer, my former boss at my Bar 3
I was probably
DC
blocking the
studio,
camera, just-
her name's Licia. We were sitting and getting a pedicure one time. Sometimes we would have meetings in interesting places. And I was kind of venting to her about my last relationship. And she said to me, relationships should feel like work in the way that Bar 3 feels like work. And that was like a light bulb for me, because I love Bar 3 and it really filled me up to go to work each morning compared to my accounting job. And talking about therapy now with Will, I was really excited to jump into therapy with Will and do the work with him and like have hard conversations and get vulnerable. And I remember went to therapy one time with my ex, and I didn't want to do it. I had such negative stigma. I'm like, this is stupid. There's nothing to gain here. I don't want to do this work. So it was just very much like, yeah, relationships are going to take work at times, but it should feel like work in a really positive and fulfilling way. And that's kind of like how I've measured the health of our relationship now, which is amazing.
Dang. I'm just putting this out there. I feel like Bar 3 should Charo needs a podcast, man. She's deep, bro. She got deeper thoughts than
I'm telling you, she was all nervous. I was like, babe, just be yourself. Like,
how'd you feel like it went?
Your first podcast.
I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I'm gonna have to listen to my voice later on a
I will
the
say
worst
that's
part.
always
No,
hard to
it's
hear
like
your
the
toughest
own,
part.
to hear yourself talk.
Mm.
It makes me cringe.
I know, that's the hardest
Oh,
part.
I
You
can't.
everyone tells you have a great voice.
Which helps, gives me like affirmation, like, okay, like I feel better about myself.
Dang, I never noticed that, but now that you pointed it out, he does have that deep raspy like microphone.
I think his
voice.
friends used to make fun of him for his voice.
Yeah, so there was, tough upbringing with the voice growing up and the teeth that I had. You'll have to look back, man. Just type in Will Compton, Washington. I had him during that time. But yeah, it's always the worst part, kind of hearing your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And then thinking about everything you kind of say. Like I was listening to some this morning while I was here. What, am I just going and talking more?
I like this part.
No.
I was
I'm looking it up.
Oh,
Will Compton, Washington. Yeah, you'll see it. It'll be. Yeah, man, it'll be right there. You can't miss it. You
It is.
look at her, she's nodding.
It's right there at the top.
That's the photo I was thinking of too.
Is it
still
the one of
happy
you in
though.
the Cracks jersey?
Still cheesing.
Oh no.
It's a me cheesing.
Man, you're kind of thick
Damn.
boy back then too, huh?
You had
Oh,
a really
everyone
thick
says
neck.
that, man. I had a 20-inch neck, not to
You measured your neck.
1920. I was 1920 back then. Now I'm like a 17 and a
You're
half.
so stupid.
But I was listening to some this morning.
That's girth.
Do you ever listen to videos like while you work out, or you just
Oh
on
yeah,
music?
100%. No, yeah.
So I was listening to it was a Kobe Bryant one.
Mm.
And he was talking about himself and some of his growing pains and everything else. And he's like, at the end of the day, you just got to get out of your own way and get over yourself. Like thinking, because we all podcast. We probably overanalyze some conversations or stuff we say. It's like, oh man, this can really define us forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you might look back on old stuff. I don't know how much fun you guys had telling those stories on the bus, right?
Hilarious, bro.
At the time, maybe you're like, oh man, I don't know if I want that. Let's just say you guys thought that way at the time. But now, being a couple years removed, like you see nothing really, nothing goes on and damages you like you think it might in the moment. So it's kind of like getting over yourself from that aspect that like not everyone cares or thinks about you as much as you think they do.
I agree with you, with caveat that there are some things that you could say that would
for sure
really derail the ship. But
no
I
doubt,
don't think
but,
you'd have to go down a real different path to make that happen.
right,
But, Ross, I'll close with this. I'm gonna send USFL. I sent in the application, bro.
What?
I'm trying to come back.
You're trying to make a
The U.S. football
USFL.
Did you really?
They got just like
What's
a
that?
job
Is it a new
application.
league?
It's like a
yeah, I'll send it to you,
it's
bro.
like AFL or whatever.
It's like a
It's
spring
not
league,
gonna be
spring league football.
It's not going to be the XFL?
No, it's a USFL.
USFL.
You don't know about this?
No.
I come
I'm
home
gonna
one
send
day
you-
and he's
it's just
like, I signed up for the USFL. I was like, what is this?
I think the draft is like next weekend.
Are you going to
wow.
get drafted? Are you going to have a draft party?
Wait, did you see how they're doing the draft? I saw it on
You know
Instagram.
this?
I
I didn't even
follow
know
the
this.
USFL now. I had to figure out what you're doing. So every round, they're drafting every position.
Long snapper too, maybe.
Yes.
There you go.
Every round they're drafting
They're
every
doing
position.
7 rounds, and every round, they're doing one person of each position.
Huh.
You think the long snapper's on
Like
the list? Though?
per team?
I don't know.
Like, how many teams are on this? in this
Probably,
league?
right?
I don't know.
I think
Maybe
there's
per
8.
team?
I think there's 8.
8 teams.
I'll send you the
I
job
think-
application.
The long snapper
don't
is
know
probably in there like in one round.
No, it's in every round.
I don't think a
Long
long snapper. I
snapper?
don't think a long snapper is. There's surely
Because
not.
why would you have
It
7 long
is.
snappers on a team trying out? You know what I mean?
That is some depth.
I know I saw long snapper on the first round.
I'm gonna try out with the long
Yeah, so
snappers.
it's 7 long snappers, 7 kickers, 7 punters. Just a bunch of slappies standing around, bro.
Maybe
Oh,
that's
that
not
brought me to
accurate.
I think
tears.
you could make that.
I mean, if there's 7 of them,
If there's 7,
make it.
you got a good chance. If not,
I mean, I don't want to slander any long snappers out there, but bro, you can play some ball.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got a
There is not
you got a linebacker stature. If you can run and tackle, like, that's such
there's
a
not
bonus.
a Nashville team, so let's not encourage this.
Oh, there's not. You have to
No.
leave the family.
No, the family would come with, dude. We're making a big time. I'm trying to pursue a dream. Anyway, come on.
Trying to pursue a dream.
I really think Charles should have a podcast with Bar 3. I'm just putting that out there. Bar 3.
Are
She's
you
here.
listening?
Would
Check
you do
it
a
out.
pod name?
I would have to get over my fear of myself. Like you just talked about.
Yeah, she's like, "Babe,
Yes.
what do you think we're going to talk about?
I would. Let's just say that.
You got good things to say, is what I'm saying.
Thanks, Andrew.
There's a lot of people who have podcasts that don't have it.
You need a Bar 3 podcast, and then you're gonna need a mom podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of losing my identity.
Yeah.
You got
It's
this.
always been,
That's been up there
a
as a
fear of
fear of
yours
mine,
that
yeah.
from the very beginning was like, yeah, that's another thing too. And I know we were trying to
We're
wrap
like
it up.
trying to wind up.
It's something that I know I'm trying to like, there's really nothing I could do to prepare really, I guess. But hearing about all the postpartum stuff,
Mm-hmm. That really
Yeah, I
freaked
mean,
Andrew
it's
out.
real.
yeah, it's like I know it's like a real thing. So it's just like, how do you even,
What?
what advice would you give?
Today's episode is brought to you by Modern Fertility.
You know me, babe. I'm a planner. I need to know what's coming up nowadays. I have to know when the kids will wake up, when we have to be to work, when we're traveling, what's for dinner. I got to know it all. That's honestly just another reason why I love Modern Fertility, because it helps us plan for kids.
That's right. And you know what's coming up is Jet's first birthday. And you know when we got pregnant with Jet, was it Drew's first birthday?
Yeah.
So I'm ready.
Modern Fertility has truly been a huge help throughout this phase of life and the planning of kids, because planning for a family is truly the whole reason Modern Fertility was created. It's an easy and affordable way to test your fertility hormones at home with a simple finger prick. Mail it in with a prepaid label and you'll get your personalized results within 10 days.
If you want kids today or maybe one day in the future, clinically sound info about your body can help you make the decision that's right for you.
Right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/EastFam. That means your test will cost $139 instead of the hundreds or even thousands of dollars it could cost at a doctor's office. Get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/EastFam.
That's modernfertility.com/EastFam. We'll also link it down below.
There's so many variables involved, but with Shawn, I was like, all right, we're gonna try to get you outside as much as possible, even if you're just laying outside, like get sun, get fresh air, and then because you're gonna be sitting on the couch a lot, like probably watching Netflix, because it's just kind of
While you're feeding the baby.
And I was like,
just, yeah.
for the first 6 weeks, nothing but comedies. Like
Yeah.
you got to be laughing, like training that muscle, just like laugh as much as possible. Nothing horror, nothing sad, nothing scary, like just comedies. That would be my 2 things, which that's not like deep advice, but that's what
I
we
would
did.
say transparency. So like you have to voice to Will what you're feeling and how you're feeling it. Even if it seems like, oh, I can't like listen to her feelings anymore, you'll start to hear you can hear trends.
Not again.
So like you can hear trends of like where she's at. So if she's constantly having a really, really hard time, then you would know that like it's time to
Pick it up.
pick up help, give her more space, give her more like alone time, everything. It's just there's so much demand on your body and on your emotions and on your mind and on your identity. It's a fight at the beginning, and you just kind of have to like work through it. But I would just say what we did, because I was very open. We've been very open in our relationship and on our podcast of like I struggled with eating disorders and mental health through like my career. So I was really scared about pregnancy and postpartum of how it would affect me. So we just agreed that I would be very, very transparent every single day of like how I was feeling, if I needed help, if I wanted to take an hour to go get my nails done, to have me time. I think you just have to like open that conversation. Don't feel like you have to do everything on your own. Cause you
Yeah,
might.
because sometimes I do feel like I can't ask for help, which is just all in my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you stay home for 6 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, bro. Yeah.
Will has plans to travel
I don't have plans to travel.
overnight.
I have like one situation. It's like one situation.
I don't want to say I was locked in. Like Yeah, but you want to be readily, available. Like,
Right. Yeah.
And I think it could be fun too. Like, hey, Will, how like you get something to talk about. And
That's true.
It's a little
That's
adventure
true.
you can share.
I would just
Hey.
like advise that if you do leave, make sure someone is staying with you for help.
Yeah, that's one thing that we are trying to like really plan and dial in on,
Oh,
which maybe we could get your guys' help.
Yeah, we got all the references. Anyway, all right, let's just close this out.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for the time. Charo, pleasure. You crushed the podcast game. Will, always a pleasure talking to you. And
In a year, we want to have you guys back on to hear how
Oh, gosh.
parenting is going.
Yeah. Yeah, I could talk with you guys all day.
Yeah, okay.
we're going to link Bussin' with the Boys, Charo's Instagram, Will's Instagram.
Charles' new podcast.
Charles' Instagram is way more like polished professional.
That is true.
Will's is just like
a lot of reels.
a hatchet, a Photoshop montage. Pretty much. Anyway, we'll link that down below. Thanks for the time.
I appreciate you
Thanks,
guys.
guys.